Morning. All righty. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. There's only about 5 or 6 of us here right now. Hopefully, as the week goes on, more people join. But these calls are going to be recorded and posted. I'm not sure if I want to make the entire if I want to make the entire archive public for 2 weeks, but we'll see. There's like probably close to 100 videos in there. But we will see. Alrighty, let's just go ahead and start with the one trade that I took today. It was unfortunately a loss. It was on GBP USD. So GBP USD, what's going on? Our weekly time frame is bearish. We had a lower low right here. Daily time frame is also currently bearish. Another lower low created. Let me switch this here. There we go. Another lower low was created on the daily time frame, and we had a reaction from this EMA. So when I hopped on the charts this morning, what I saw was a head and shoulders. So we had price action that was creating a shoulder, head, shoulder. Another thing it was doing is it looks like it had created a double top and that we had retested that double top right here. And if you zoom in even closer, it looks like the head and shoulders or double top had created another head and shoulders. You have this shoulder, head, shoulder. Now, why did I enter the trade? I basically waited for a retest of this neckline. So I waited for price to come back into this area. And that is where I entered. It was on like a lower time frame, probably like I honestly was just looking at price to retest these structures right here. And that's when I sent the signal after this like little doji candle. As you can see, price had a reaction from the EMA. And then after that, unfortunately, we hit stop loss. Now, the good news is that our risk to reward was there. It was only a 15 pip stop loss. So it would have been a great return. I didn't want to place my stop loss above this high because I figured that at that point, we were probably going to create a double top up here. And it makes no sense to enter down here and to set your stop loss all the way up here, right? So we kind of we took the trade that we had to take at the moment. Could I have waited for a better opportunity to enter? Potentially. I mean, potentially you could have waited for I guess this little red candle right here, which is a 30-minute bearish candle, or a 15-minute bearish doji. Either way, we would have taken the stop loss. I like the setup overall, but sometimes price does not play out the way we expect it to. What's happening now? So on the higher time frame, price did engulf last week. So we had this bullish engulfing candle on the weekly time frame. That doesn't necessarily mean that we're gonna continue bullish, but there was a situation similar in a similar area where price had engulfed the previous week, kind of like we did right here, and then the following week we had a continuation to the upside. Um, I do think that we should still reject this EMA. We'll have to wait for some kind of a doji and then potentially an engulfing candle and then catch our trade maybe a little bit lower, maybe somewhere down here, and it would look something like this. So if we were to enter down here, stop loss would be a little bit bigger. It wouldn't be a scalping stop loss anymore. And then the first take profit would have to be this daily structure right here, and then later on all the way down here, which is a little bit unlikely considering the fact that we have been in this area of consolidation for quite a while now. So yeah, we'll just continue to watch it. On the lower time frames, we ended up not creating a lower low, so we're still bearish from right here. Well, I guess technically this could count as a structure point, and then that being the lower low, therefore price had gone bullish on the 4 hour time frame. So if that is the case, then we might have been able to avoid this loss. We have bullish market structure on the 4 hour time frame, pullback, technically creating a double bottom here. So in reality, if we want to take another trade, we have to wait for price to go bearish on the 4 hour and then retest this double bottom and then continue to the downside. But yeah, keep an eye on this one. So far, we are 0-1 on the week. Let's continue. GBP NZD, another GBP pair. Weekly is bullish. We have retested this previous structure right here. Kind of like I expected. We do have this bullish doji. And if price closes as we are right now, then we'll have a bearish engulfing candle. All we have to do is wait for price to kind of break above this structure point. Well, it's actually already breaking through. I set an alarm because I was expecting. So here on Friday, we closed with this candle, right? So what do we have? We have bearish market structure, lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low, higher high, and then price shifted bearish again. So lower low, lower high, lower low, and now we are shifting bullish with this bullish engulfing candle. So that is nice, but we would also, I would prefer if price was not only bullish, but we were above the EMA. That would give us even a better confirmation for buys. On the daily time frame, we are still bullish. On the 4 hour time frame, we're bearish. So we have two time frames in sync. But like I said, I want to see some kind of structure here, whether that's a head and shoulders, preferably a head and shoulders where you have a shoulder, we have a head, we have another shoulder, and then we're above the EMA. And then this is kind of where we take our buying position. If you're feeling risky, then you could maybe wait for a break above one of the lower time frame EMAs, such as the 1 hour EMA. And then, so right now we have a double or triple bottom forming here. All you would have to wait for is a break above, retest of all these structures, and then continuation to the upside. That is considering the fact that this 4 hour EMA doesn't hold us down. So that is kind of what I'm waiting for on this pair. Still a break, retest buy, trading with the higher time frames. AUD JPY. So I didn't mean it literally, but when I drew this, I just put an arrow pointing directly upwards. As you can see, that's exactly what price did. We have a shoulder, head, shoulder, break above, retest the neckline on Friday. All of this happened. Monday opened, bam. We just took off straight to the upside. I think this happened across all the JPY pairs. This is untradeable. I don't think that there's any way to enter this market, especially considering the fact that we opened with one huge candle to the upside. Now, does anyone know why this happened? I'm not exactly quite sure. It has something to do with potential news that happened over the weekend. Maybe policy changes. This is JPY, so this happened across all the JPY pairs. Yeah. I mean, if you were in this trade on Friday, then you are in luck. Unfortunately, we are not in luck this time. So that kind of dwindles our watch list down a little bit. Euro CHF. Euro CHF did exactly what I was expecting. Weekly time frame, bearish. Daily time frame is currently bullish. So daily time frame went bullish right here. We had push to the upside, a higher high, shift the structure, lower low, lower low, lower low, shift the structure to the upside, lower or higher low, higher high, and now a shift the structure to the downside again. That is if price closes down here. As things stand, the 4 hour time frame was bearish when we closed on Friday. And I basically just said we need a pullback into the EMA. That's exactly the first thing that happened on Sunday night. A few hours ago, we had a swift pullback. At this time, I was already asleep. Was not going to be here or be awake to take this trade. But we did retest this head and shoulders neckline, retest the EMA perfectly, and price sold. Now, I do expect the selling to continue, honestly, all the way down into this area of interest. There are a few other areas of interest that I would be aware of if you're in this trade, but since we're not going to go through and mark everything up. Seems a little bit pointless. The next area that price might pull back to is most likely going to be something around here. Um, it almost looks like that's already happened, to be honest. It looks like price has already returned to this area and retested it for a continuation to the downside. So you see how that works. I mean, you guys watched me just draw that. It literally looks perfect. Anyways, that trade I think is already gone. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that price is going to return to this area of interest, even though it might. However, if it does return, it looks like there have been reactions to the upside from the area of interest. And if price does come back here, there's a chance it could just continue going higher. So we would need further confirmation to take a trade to the downside. Um, I do like the idea of if price closes like this, then tomorrow's candle would have a wick up like this and then a continuation to the downside. That would be pretty fantastic. So we'll keep this on our watch list. We'll see what happens. Um, there's also a chance that price just wicks up into this previous structure and gives us a nice little candle up like this, and then continues to the downside after that. So those are two options. Obviously, this one is a little bit better. There's a lot more structure for that area of interest. This is more of just a previous structure type of a structure. There is not really, I'm sure if we go further back enough, there are areas of interest over here. But as of right now, that's all it would be is a wick up to fill in some empty space and then a continuation to the downside. USD CHF probably in the same position. This is a trade that we took last week, ended up being a loss. So weekly time frame, USD CHF is very bearish. I do expect us to break past this low to have a bearish continuation. We have a bearish engulfing last week, so I'm guessing all that happened was this wick was retesting the EMA and giving us some breathing room, a bigger wick for the weekly time frame. So now what we have is we're waiting for that continuation to happen. We have weekly time frame is bearish, daily time frame is bullish. This would be a little bit of a higher risk trade unless we wait for the 4-hour time frame to shift bearish, which would be a headache if we're being honest. Well, actually, I lied. This is not the previous structure that went bullish. We already broke below that. So we're bullish from here. And since we already broke above that structure, right? So we broke above this level, that gives us this as our previous bullish 4-hour structure. All we have to do is close below this structure, which is a lot better than closing way down here. All we have to do is close below this structure, have a quick pullback, and then a continuation to the downside. It would kind of almost look like this, where we have price went bullish right here. We went bullish. We had a small shift of structure to the downside below this level, pullback, and then continuation under the EMA. That's all we're waiting for. We're waiting for price to show us what it wants to do. If it's going to stay above the EMA, then we're just going to have a reaction straight up. If we're going to break below and stay below, then we're going to do that pretty soon. So that's going to be 4 sells. Euro CHF, same thing on the same thing for both of them. Just pullback sell, pullback sell. Here we're waiting for the shift above to buy. And let's take a look at AUD USD. AUD USD weekly time frame bullish. Daily time frame gave us a doji on Friday. Price had shifted bearish right here. So we had a higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high, shift the structure bearish, lower low, or lower low, lower high, lower low, shift the structure bullish, higher low, higher high. So that's exactly what happened. Looks like we created some kind of head and shoulders pattern or inverted head and shoulders pattern right here, or a double bottom, whatever you want to call it. This could be a double bottom. In that case, all we would wait for is a retest of these structures here, kind of a 1 hour, 4 hour area of interest for a continuation to the upside. I'm not really loving the market structure on the lower time frames. It's not as clean as I would like it to be, but it is still above the EMA, above the EMA here. It is still a bullish market structure. So all you have to do is look for some kind of lower time frame entry signal. Am I going to take this trade? Probably not, considering the fact that I took 2 losses here, or rather, I think this was a 1 to 2 and then a loss afterwards. But yeah, let's go ahead and look at Euro USD. Euro USD is a pair that I had taken a few losses on last week, and I'm a little bit more passive on this pair. I just want to watch and see what it does. Weekly time frame, I do believe a continuation to the upside is due. Weekly time frame is very bullish. Daily time frame is above the EMA. We were bearish on the weekly time frame or on the daily time frame. We had this pullback, and this is where I was looking to take the sells. As you can see, the sells did play out, but not before we got manipulated out of this trade. When I took this first position, we were bearish, and then this was a bit of an impulsive entry right there. Same thing happened. We just got wicked out, and price continued downwards. Now what's happening is we are finally underneath this area of interest where we have a lot of sellers below, a lot of buyers above. Very nice area of interest. I would just be looking for price to give us proper confirmation to go to the downside. If we break back above inside of this consolidation, then I'm not interested anymore. I would need a proper sell, proper engulfing to the downside. Something like this, something like this, something like this, where we know what price is going to be doing rather than back inside and then back above. Not interested in this being how our continuation goes. So still going to be watching this one a little bit more passively. We do see that the sellers are wanting to push this market down, but we're not going to hop into anything just yet, especially considering the fact that we opened and we went straight down. We have no top wick here. There's a good chance that this was just a very, very strong retest of the daily EMA. And after this, we might see buyers coming back into this market and pushing us back up. So yeah, let's go ahead and find some other pairs to be interested in for the week, considering the fact that all of our JPY pairs are already have already basically run away from us. So these are all that we have looked at from yesterday's market breakdown. Euro AUD weekly time frame is bullish. Daily time frame is also bullish. Now, what we did is we created this kind of looking like a double top pattern. If we zoom in, it's more of a head and shoulders, shoulder, head, shoulder, and we came back to retest this neckline. It looks like we opened directly upwards, retested this EMA and sold. So now I think that makes our 4-hour time frame bearish. Our 4-hour time frame is bearish. Our daily time frame is still bullish, and our weekly time frame still bullish as well. Not really loving this price action right now. So we're just going to stay away for now. Euro GBP weekly time frame very bullish. Daily time frame is currently bearish. Retested the EMA today. 4 hour time frame did exactly what I expected it to, except for it never came back to retest this area of interest for where the entry that we were looking for would be. So we retested this head and shoulders. We pulled back, had selling pressure coming in, retested it once more on Sunday, and then finally sold off really, really nicely. Once again, I don't think that there was much of an entry here. Looks like a news event or something along those lines pushed price down around 2 a.m. Eastern time. So now we have to figure out whether or not we're going to see buyers coming back into this market after we had basically exhausted a lot of selling pressure, retested the EMA, and we kind of returned into this area of much consolidation. So we have sellers underneath, buyers above, sellers underneath, and buyers above. So let's see if price gives us if price starts to climb back above these EMAs, right? First things first, 15-minute EMA. If we get a break above 15-minute EMA, then we'll be targeting the 30-minute EMA. If we break above the 30-minute EMA, then we'll start to break above the 1 hour, so on and so forth, until eventually we start to reclaim some highs. Once again, this is simply because we are bullish on the weekly time frame, and we would expect price to kind of continue with bullish market structure. As of right now, we're still bearish on at least 2 time frames. Therefore, we can't take any buys until we either create a lower low and then have a shift to structure, or until we break above this high right here, then retest the EMA and then continue to buy after that happens. So still a lot of price action needs to take place here. Not really interested as of right now. Okay. Weekly time frame NZD CHF. Weekly time frame is bearish. Daily time frame is also bearish. We're finally seeing that pullback into previous structures. 4 hour time frame is currently bullish, so we have 2 time frames in sync to sell. Unfortunately, we're not at an area of interest, so we still have a lot of pulling back to do. And I'm not going to be interested in entering this market until we get a full pullback and then a reaction from this area of interest, similarly to how we took this trade right here. We pulled back into previous structure. We had our sellers coming into the market, and then we hopped on the train. So right now, if you wanted to take counter trend trades, you could. Only issue is you're only trading, with 1 time frame in sync. So that is the situation we are in. Not interested. GBP CHF. Weekly time frame, very, very bearish. Daily time frame, also quite bearish. Now, what I was looking for is price action to break underneath this area of interest. We do have this inverted head and shoulders, so I was waiting for price to invalidate the inverted head and shoulders and to create maybe some kind of market structure right here, which would signify sellers coming into this market. I'm still interested in that happening, ideally, because we have 2 time frames in sync. If you're taking buys, then you're kind of taking buys similar to these buys, which are not a terrible idea considering the fact that you're above this 4 hour EMA, but it's also not a great idea considering the fact that you're trading against your 2 highest time frames, which are the daily and the weekly time frames. Okay. So realistically, if this was the daily time frame, then I would 100% say, okay, well, you have your higher high, you have your pullback, you have this shift to the upside, you have a pullback retesting previous structure from here. It would not be terrible to take buys. This actually looks funny because you have this huge push up here, which looks like this, and then you have this pullback which looks exactly the same on this lower time frame. Um, Very interesting. All right. Well, overall, I do expect continued sells. I just won't take those sells until we have a break and retest under here. NZD CAD. NZD CAD weekly time frame also bearish. Weekly time frame is also bearish. Last week we had this bullish engulfing candle. Daily time frame is currently also bearish. I was expecting sellers to come back in around this area of interest. We finally reached our daily EMA, and we had a shift of structure to the downside. We actually broke below this structure here and went bearish. So we're currently bearish on the 4-hour time frame. However, if you had entered this market down here, you would have gotten wicked out by this move to the upside, considering the fact that your stop loss is probably right above these highs. The reason that this happened is most likely because we were underneath the EMA and then we finally shifted back above the EMA. Even though it is previous structure, it is still the EMA is still a very, very strong indicator of where price might go. So that would have been unfortunate. I do still expect sellers, but now what we need is probably a bearish engulfing candle. That would be pretty fantastic. As you can see, anytime we're above the EMA and we have a bullish engulfing, then we have buyers coming in. Anytime we are below, we have a bearish doji or a bearish engulfing, then we have sellers re-entering this market. So right now we're at the EMA. All we're waiting for is a bearish engulfing candle. And at that point, we will probably be underneath this EMA. And once we're underneath this EMA, underneath the area of interest, then we'll be able to take our sells right here, stop loss wherever it might be, probably up here, for at the very minimum a 1 to 2. Stop loss would be adjusted as needed, but I do expect eventually for price to revisit this daily low. Obviously, that's probably not going to happen considering how slowly we've been moving that in that direction, but we are still moving in that direction nevertheless. So first profit target would probably be these equal lows right here. Stop loss would have to be a little bit tighter for about a 1 to 2, and then anything afterwards, you'll be able to squeeze out on your own. NZD USD, very, very similar situation to NZD CAD. They are both NZD pairs. Weekly time frame is bearish. We are retesting weekly structure right here. Daily time frame is also bearish, retesting previous daily structure right there. 4-hour time frame is currently misplaced. It's currently bullish. So we're bullish from right here to right here. And until we can break above this area or break below this area, we will remain bullish from right there. Okay, so we have to break above here to create a higher high, then have a shift of structure, or just sell immediately from where we are, break underneath the EMA, break underneath previous structures, retest previous structures, retest area of interest, and then sell. Okay. That is exactly what I'll be waiting for. I do like this one more than some of these other pairs, especially more than this pair right here. Another reason I like it more than NZD CAD is because there's a lot more structure that needs to be filled in. At NZD CAD, let's see, market structure doesn't look the same, but it also like there's a lot of empty space here, and price has consolidated quite a lot. Whereas over here, there's a lot of empty space, but you have a lot cleaner market structure moving downwards. And you can also, like, over here, all you have is one move. Let's see. It's like this and this. Well, I guess you could technically use some of these structures still left as a market structure. On NZD USD, you have a lot of structures. So you have this area of interest, then you have this area of interest, and you have another area of interest. As you can see, you can basically frame out multiple areas of reversal. On the other one, you can't really do that easily. So first structure point that we would target would be obviously previous daily structure, and then we could start using some of these other areas of interest as future targets as well. Okay, so that's going to be one of the pairs that we're looking at. What else are you guys interested in trading? I don't know what Alex is trading. I don't know. We could break down some of his pairs if you want. If it's not something that I've already broken down for you guys, or we could just go through these other ones that we were not particularly interested in at the beginning of the week and see if anything has changed. Daily structure. Okay. Here's one that's interesting. I thought this would take a few more days, but on Euro NZD, price has finally returned to previous structure. It looks like we barely tapped in and we are already seeing a reaction to the upside. Weekly time frames bullish, daily time frame bullish. 4-hour time frame is bearish. So we're bearish from here to here. Now, same thing stands. We have two options. The pair you're waiting for is this one. We have two options. One, lower low on the 4-hour, shift the structure, and then a push up. Or, well, we already have two time frames in sync. So technically, the shift the structure is not necessary. If you are feeling risky, which I do like the buyers in this market, you can already tell. You can already tell who's in control here. So you can wait for two things. You can either wait for price to break above this 1-hour EMA and then start to trade above it, or yeah, okay. So it's going to be a similar situation to this. Okay, you can see how nice we took this buy right here. This was on a Friday. This was about 3 weeks ago, almost a month ago. So what happened was we took a very, very risky and aggressive buy here, and price finally broke above the 1-hour EMA and then traded above the 1-hour EMA until very, very recently in price action history. So that's an option. You can wait. Obviously, this was a bit of a risky entry. I made sure to let the signal group know that. But ideally, we would have taken this trade on Monday or Tuesday after a retest of these previous structures. So that's kind of what you have to wait for. You have to wait for price to create a structure. So here, two options. We either retest this EMA and then sell very aggressively and then start to build back up, kind of like we did over there. This would give the EMA room to dip underneath and start supporting price. Right now, I think that if we tried to break above the EMA, we would struggle. We would struggle. Then we might break above. Whereas if this happens, if price reaches the EMA and then sells off very aggressively, we can kind of start to capitalize off of that buyback, similar to the way I did over here. I mean, it's the exact same setup where price touched this EMA. So we sold very aggressively. And as soon as we came back in, that's when I started to buy back. So same thing here. Same scenario, same situation. We're just waiting for price to break back above this 1-hour EMA, whether that happens right now or whether that happens later. This is going to be our area to enter the market. I should have either capitalized off of this by entering another position, or I don't know. We closed this on a Friday and then we were in another trade on Monday, so we never oh gosh, we never ended up entering again. So we're not going to make that mistake again. If price ends up breaking above the 1 hour EMA, we will definitely hop in. Another option is 15-minute EMA. This one's a lot riskier because obviously we have the 1 hour EMA trading like right here. We could break above the 15-minute retest, hit the 1 hour, and then sell. That would suck, right? So let's just be patient, wait for the 1 hour EMA, wait for it to finally break above, retest, engulf, and then this is our entry right here, okay? So that was a long explanation of saying the same exact thing, which is be patient. Going to probably the top of my list. All right, next. Next up. EuroCAD, not really interested. AUD, NZD, interesting. Weekly time frame, very, very bullish. We have this rejection candle, which we tend to see in areas like this. Like it's an exhaustion candle with a long wick and a small body. Usually happens in areas of reversal. So let's see if we can catch a reversal off of this. Weekly time frame is bullish. I'll answer that question at the end, okay? If you're willing to stick around, until then. Daily time frame bullish, 4 hour time frame bullish, and then shifted bearish. Okay. Oh, engulfed. So we're actually bullish again. I count this small little engulfing candle as a pullback. So that is technically a new structure point, and then we broke above, so we're bullish there. Not really loving this for sells, not really loving this for buys. We don't really have any previous structures. Now, if we did have like a double top on daily time frame, so if we were to, where the heck is it? Okay, so if we were to create a double top right here, bam, broke back underneath, retested, 100% selling right into this area. But as of right now, there's a chance we create that double top, and there's no reason for us to take sells from right here and then have our stop loss up here. That's a little ridiculous. Not interested right now. CAD CHF, along with all the other CHF pairs, had a push to the upside, had a reaction off of previous structure, off of EMA, and is now selling. We created a nice wick to the upside. Now all I believe is going to happen is we're going to see a body forming to the downside. There's not really an area for us to enter this trade right now. I feel like we're at a lower low point. This was our pullback. Not much of an entry going on here either. Not interested. Okay. Weekly time frame GBP AUD is bullish. Daily time frame is currently bearish. And 4 hour time frame is currently bearish as well. Yeah, so we did actually break below this structure point, therefore making this structure point our latest lower high for the new lower low on the 4 hour time frame. Looks like we're going to close with a daily bearish engulfing candle. Now there's a lot of chop here. I'm not a huge fan of that. Um, We do have a retest of the 1 hour. Okay, wow. Bit of a area of interest here. So we have this like double top formed, whatever you want to call it. Price broke below, retested. If there was an area to sell from, it would be this area right here. I just don't really love the idea of trading in such a choppy area. Um, 4 hour. I guess to each their own. If there was an area to sell from, we're at that area, but I'm not interested right now. GBP CAD. GBP CAD weekly time frames bullish, daily time frame is currently bullish, and 4 hour time frame is currently bearish. No, I'm not sure where that was there. It's currently bullish. So we were bearish from here down to here, then we finally broke above, retested EMA. Realistically, I think price is just going to continue up from here unless we run into an issue like this where price looks like it's going to break above. We react from the EMA to the upside and then we just sink. So that's why I had it marked up like so. If you believe in trading like bear flags or bull flags or whatever they're called, I don't even know how to draw them. Like, is this how you draw them? Then technically you have one of those right here. You could have taken a buy from technically right here, this would be a previous structure, EMA, and the bottom of your flag, and then you just trade that up into the top of the flag. I don't do that. I never understood those type of patterns. All I'm waiting for is price to actually show its hand, tell us if it's going to break above, which I do think it will. Not predicting it, but breaking above, retesting, and then we can buy. GBP CAD, we'll keep an eye on it. We talked about this. Next is AUD CAD. AUD CAD. Price gave us those buys. They're gone. Not going to be able to catch that trade. USD CAD. USD CAD and then AUD CHF is the last one. So USD CAD price broke above, retested our area of interest, and is now trading in between two areas of interest. Ideally, we would either be buying from down here to continue up, or we would wait for a break above, retest of this previous structure, retest of this structure, and then continue to buy. Buying from where we are now is a little problematic because we're running into this nice area of interest, which has held price down in the past. You can see how we bought into it, and then all of a sudden price turned around and sold. Yeah, just going to be waiting for actual pullback to buy or a break above and then retest a previous structure to buy. Okay. I'll actually put that on the list for now just to watch it. AUDCHF, one of the last ones we're doing. Weekly time frame, bearish, right? Now, I hate the fact that the weekly time frame is bearish from February. Ideally, weekly structure would be internal, like it would be something that we're trading from a near price, but we're not doing that right now. Daily time frame, bearish. We created higher high up here, and then we shifted structure, so we're bearish. We never broke below this structure point. We never broke above this one. We're above the EMA right now, so that's one of the reasons that I wanted to wait for a break and retest under the EMA. Like I feel like I've seen this before. I think we're going to be targeting this structure next, but I'm not going to be trading against the daily and the weekly time frame. That's just silly. Still waiting for the same thing. Still going to be waiting for a break underneath. We created a shoulder, head, shoulder. I'm pretty sure yesterday I mentioned wanting price here to create a head and shoulders. And then once we break below here, we're going to be bearish on the 4 hour. Then we retest the neckline and then we sell. Okay. So same thing stands here, nothing changes. Um, this does look pretty nice for when we do break below. You can set an alarm right here if you want, for price to alert you when structure has officially shifted bearish, and then you wait for the pullback, and then you finally wait for your entry. So the pairs we're going to be watching, mostly watching closely, are going to be these ones right here. Put that away. Euro NZD, going to be waiting for price to basically break above one of these medium time frames, I would call them. Preferably the 30-minute or the 1 hour. As you can see, the 1 hour is the most respected. When we're above, we're above. When we're below, we're below. And then fantastic entries come from when you wait for the break above, the retest, the engulfing, the break of retest, engulfing, and those are your entries for longs. Going to be waiting for the same thing here. Break above, retest buy. I wouldn't enter immediately from where we are because it's a little bit different. As you can see here, there was a ton of consolidation. If we were going to go and break that trade down, tons of consolidation, lots of 1 hour candles, and then I entered after we broke out of that consolidation zone. It was a premature entry. It was risky. That's why my stop loss was 25 points, 25 pips. Different story here. Okay, different story here. There's not much consolidation. It looks like we're just targeting the EMA, and after we target the EMA, then we might see the sells, then we might see the consolidation, and then we might see the breakout. By that point, the EMA will have already caught up to price down here, and then we just wait for the break, retest, and then this is our entry right here after the engulfing. Okay, I'm just reading the same thing that price has done before. GBP NZD, similar situation. We're currently underneath that EMA. Once we break above, then we retest, then we can buy after the engulfing or doji candle. Euro CHF. Euro CHF, we're basically waiting for the daily candle to create a wick, or a few, like if we could get like 2 or 3 bullish candles, 1, 2, and then 3 with the doji. Next candle would be a selling candle. That would be fantastic. I don't really want to wait for that long. So if there's a chance that price kind of wicks up into this area of interest or maybe retest this area right here, then we might get some kind of a continuation candle. I really don't like this right here. I don't like the fact that we already retested the area and we already sold. That kind of gives me the idea that if we do see price coming back into that area, we might stay in that area until this EMA catches up, and it would just be really, really nasty. And then we would probably get taken out of the trade a few times, kind of like this, where we sold, retested, got stuck in the zone, and we finally broke out of that zone. Yeah, so we're just gonna wait for that. USD CHF, kind of a similar situation where we're stuck in this kind of mess right here, waiting for price to actually break out of the mess, retest the mess, and then continue to sell. AUD CHF, very similar, creating a head and shoulders. We're just going to wait for the break underneath, the retest to sell. At this point, we don't have to have all 3 of these structures. My favorite one would probably be AUD CHF. AUD CHF has cleaner movements in my eyes than some of these other ones. This would be my second favorite. And then lastly, I would pick Euro CHF. So yeah, I would pick this one and then this one and then that one last. NZD USD, last but not least, very, very clean structures. Bearish, bearish, pullback, bearish, another pullback. Now this pullback, we have to be careful. As you can see here, a lot of these pullbacks for sells have been overextended. Here you would expect price to break lower high, lower low, lower high. Here we went bullish and then we sold. Here we broke above the EMA, then we sold. Here we broke above the EMA, went bullish, and then we sold. So here, I mean, realistically, we might be retesting the EMA and then selling. That just seems to be a pretty normal thing that price does on this pair. So we'll keep an eye on it. That's why we're waiting for price to actually give us the bearish sells and then the pullback and then more sells. Okay. That's a quick little breakdown of the markets for tomorrow, I mean, we're going to do over this. We're going to go over all of this again every single day, Sunday through Thursday. Friday, I'm taking a break. I just don't do Fridays because Fridays, I can do the same thing on Sunday, just going over the previous week and then picking pairs for the following week. Now, if you guys enjoyed this, thank you for joining EU. Euro USD, kind of the same thing. We're still waiting for price to tell us if we're actually going to be underneath this area. I don't really like EU's market structure. As you can see, for me, it's a little bit hard to determine what's going on because it's so choppy. Like we're above market structure here, and then we're retest to buy, didn't happen. We're below structure, we retest to sell, didn't happen. Why didn't it happen? Because of this EMA here. Okay, this EMA has kind of held price up. Ideally, if we're taking sells, we wait for a bearish engulfing candle, then we wait for a pullback, then we wait for sells. And if not, then we're waiting for buys, which would have to happen above this other area of interest. If you want to take buys from where we are here, good luck. You'd be buying with one time frame in sync because currently the 4 hour is bearish. You can either wait for the 4 hour to go bullish, retest, and buy. Okay, that's kind of what I'm thinking there. Any tips on how to get back on track after being away all summer? Just join these calls. Literally, just there was a period that I took a break from trading for like 6 months. This was when I was like a year new. I lost a ton of money. I didn't know what to do. So I just took a break. And when I got back, it felt like I didn't know anything. It felt like I didn't understand the way that the markets were moving. The truth is, I did understand. I still knew everything, but market conditions change. Your personal life changes. So you kind of need to sync up with the markets. It's just a process, right? You don't become a professional at something by doing it for 1 hour a day. You become a professional by doing it over and over and over again. And eventually you stack up the hours and you get in sync with whatever you're doing. And then you just, it almost becomes second nature. So that's what it was. When I do these type of calls with you guys keep me on track. You guys keep me updated with the markets. You keep me consistent, and you help me overall just as much as I try to help you. So that's exactly how I would recommend. Just for the next 2 weeks, you're in luck. I will just be doing these for free. I can't promise that it'll be at the same time every day, but I'll do them around this time, probably, what is it, noon Eastern time? Yeah. So between noon or 1 o'clock is when I'll be aiming to do these. I'll just be sending the links to the trader chat as usual. Encourage people to join if you can, if you have friends or family or whoever. Ask them to join, completely free. I'm not asking for a single thing from you guys, except for to show up and to make it a little bit less boring. So trading can get boring. At the end of the day, it's supposed to be boring. If it's exciting, then you're probably doing it wrong, right? When I go over these pairs, I feel like I'm saying the exact same thing for every single pair. That's because the markets move the same way, the exact same way every single day. I mean, they create patterns, they create structures, and it's just our job to decipher those little puzzles. So yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed. I'll post the recording to the trader chat most likely. Actually, no, well, I'll post them in the free Sundays place because that's where a lot of the free recordings are. I'll post them there, and obviously I'll post them for you, for the people who are in the community or the market updates group. Post them in that group as well. But yeah, thank you guys for joining. It's been fantastic. It's good to be back, and hopefully, as we do this whole week, people keep joining. And today, what we had about 8 people join. So let's aim for 10 next time, right? 10 is a good number. All right. Have a blessed rest of your day, and I'll see you guys all tomorrow.